An elite special forces team is headed home after a vacation. Little did they know that an unidentified armed group had ambushed them. Massively outgunned, the team members can only take cover and fiercely fight back. But the enemy's bullets rain down like crazy, with their superior firepower putting the team in serious danger. Can the special forces team find a way to break through in this intense and isolated situation? And why did they end up in this deadly predicament? Rewind 72 hours. A young woman looks deeply worried, like she's hiding a huge secret. Her best friend sees she's troubled and suggests a walk to relax. As soon as they step outside, they run into a group of armed robbers. Without a word, the robbers try to kidnap them. Luckily, Captain Armando, who is on vacation, witnesses the scene. He's a soldier in the Mexican armed forces and can't stand by and watch. He immediately pulls his gun, takes down the leader, and orders the others to drop their weapons. But the leader isn't scared at all, and even dares to threaten Armando, telling him to mind his own business if he wants to keep his peaceful life. At the same moment, the local police arrive on the scene. When they see Armando with a gun, they instinctively draw their weapons and demand that he drop his. Armando hears them but doesn't immediately comply, and the situation makes the police officers hesitate. It seems the police captain is wary of something and doesn't immediately arrest the robbers, but instead suspects Armando's identity. Only when Armando shows his ID does the police captain order the arrest of the robbers, with a very grim look on his face. Armando thinks everything is settled, but suddenly, the girl who was just kidnapped, in a panic, approaches him and tells him a shocking secret. It turns out, the leader of the kidnapping gang is Josefo, from the biggest local drug trafficking organization called Venom. The reason they wanted to kidnap the two girls in broad daylight was that they accidentally discovered a mass grave belonging to the organization just a few kilometers away. Hearing this, Armando immediately frowns. He understands the gravity of the situation, so he immediately calls his special operations team to the location. Just as the girls said, there's a secret mass grave there, containing the bodies of 10 soldiers. The wounds on their bodies show that before they died, they suffered incredibly brutal torture. This discovery fills the team with rage. The colonel sternly declares that they absolutely cannot let this matter pass easily. They need to quickly capture the mastermind to bring peace to the victims' souls and their families. So, this difficult mission of pursuit is assigned to Armando. He will lead an elite special forces team to infiltrate the criminal hideout to capture the suspect. Elsewhere, the head of Venom, Damaso, is watching the news on TV. When he hears the news about the mass grave being exposed, he doesn't show any emotion. He simply turns off the TV in silence. Afterward, he calmly prepares a dessert for his daughter. Who would have thought that a notorious drug lord could have such a happy and complete family? But at that moment, there's a sudden loud banging on the door of the mansion. Damaso's face immediately turns grim. As expected, the person who has come to apologize is Josefo. When he sees his useless younger brother, who only knows how to mess things up, Damaso's mood hits rock bottom. Because not long ago, he spoke with his inside contact in the government. The contact said that the situation is too serious, and since the unit taking on the investigation is the Army's Special Forces, it will be very difficult to manipulate from the inside. In addition, Damaso also received news from an informant that Armando was one of the men who killed his father years ago. The old feud, now with new hatred added. The fire of resentment inside Damaso is completely ignited. He gives Josefo an order with a tone that doesn't allow for refusal, demanding that he find an opportunity to eliminate Armando and his teammates at all costs. And he will continue to manipulate the situation with his contact. At the same time, Armando has gathered the members of his team and has begun to develop an operational plan before the mission. However, their first target isn't Damaso, but a large bald man named Eduardo. He is an important member of the Venom organization, and also the main suspect in the massacre of the soldiers. Armando has also received information that Eduardo owns a high-end seafood restaurant and has been appearing there almost every day recently. They can arrest him first, and then negotiate to exchange him for information about Damaso, in order to increase the chances of success for the pursuit operation. This plan is agreed upon by all members, so everyone immediately begins to take action. Everyone is carefully equipped, and then they sneak into the restaurant. First, they have to push back the innocent employees and customers, and then rush into the dining area where Eduardo is located. At this time, the man is engrossed in enjoying his food, so he doesn't have time to react. Special team members disguised as customers also immediately raise their guns and aim at Eduardo and the others. Immediately after, Armando loudly orders them to drop their weapons. After a tense moment of confrontation, Eduardo and his accomplices are forced to surrender. However, just as they leave the restaurant, one of the men who managed to escape the capture cautiously gets out of the car with a gun, preparing to ambush the Special Forces team from behind. But in the next second, he's shot down on the spot. It was the team sniper, who was hiding in the distance, providing support and helping his teammates avoid danger. Just like that, everyone successfully boards the boat to return to the other side, then quickly heads to a safe area, where police are waiting to provide backup. After confirming that there's nothing unusual nearby, Armando hands Eduardo and his accomplices over to the local police. The capture operation is a complete success. The whole team is immediately happy, excitedly looking forward to their upcoming vacation. The colonel is also very pleased with the outcome. First, he gives Armando's team 3 days of rest, then announces that the next mission will be deployed after Eduardo's hearing is concluded, hoping that the Special Forces team can continue to provide support later. In another development, Damaso successfully meets with his messenger. Unexpectedly, that person is Minister of Security Roman. As soon as they meet, Damaso doesn't say much and just offers a stack of cash. Roman sees this and immediately understands. He signals to his driver to collect the money, then takes a phone out of his pocket, announcing that Armando's calls will be wiretapped 24 hours a day. Damaso can use this phone to monitor him. Immediately after, Roman continues to reveal that Armando and his team will be on leave tomorrow. If Damaso wants to completely resolve the problem, this is an opportunity he can't miss. After saying that, Roman quickly leaves the meeting location, unaware that the seemingly remote place has actually been recorded in its entirety by Joseph, who is hiding nearby. This is the escape route that Damaso has prepared for himself. After receiving their short 3-day leave, the Special Forces team members decide to leave the military base and return home to reunite with their families for a short time. Afterward, they hold a birthday party for Pollo, the youngest member of the team. So, everyone takes a commemorative photo together, and then Armando drives the team away from the base. The car speeds along the highway. Inside, everyone is excitedly chatting, looking forward to their upcoming vacation. But things don't go as planned. As soon as the car enters a remote mountain road, it suddenly falls into an ambush without warning. Everyone hurriedly gets out of the car to fight back, but it's clear that the attackers were prepared in advance, so their weapons and equipment are very complete. Fortunately, the well-coordinated teamwork of the members helps them quickly take down some of the enemies, and then pick up their weapons to counterattack. Before long, they've wiped out all the enemies in front of them. However, with many years of military experience, they don't let their guard down. Immediately, the Special Forces team begins searching the enemy's equipment to replenish their resources. Sure enough, after they finish checking the ammunition, Joseph leads his men to charge forward. The gunmen in the car hurriedly open fire first, spraying bullets wildly towards the Special Forces team. Everyone returns fire while retreating, finding shelter behind the trees along the road. But Joseph isn't going to let them off easily. He rains down bullets relentlessly. The lack of equipment forces the Special Forces team to temporarily hide, not daring to risk exposing themselves, causing the situation to fall into a stalemate. Fortunately, before long, Joseph loses patience and orders his men to charge forward. Armando immediately seizes this brief opening and signals his teammates to counterattack. With smooth coordination and the firepower of the sniper, the Special Forces team quickly gains the upper hand. At this time, only Joseph is left on the battlefield, but he's seriously injured and no longer has the strength to fight back. He can only struggle to shoot out the tires of the car. Armando quickly realizes that the enemy is completely exhausted, so he wants to move forward to assess the situation. But as soon as he leaves his hiding place, he sees a grenade flying towards him. Fortunately, everyone dodges in time and avoids death. On the other side, Joseph, dying, uses all his strength to take out a cell phone. He uses a weak voice to report the news to Damaso, begging him to avenge him, then collapses and dies. When Armando leads his men closer to inspect, Joseph can only manage to utter a threat before taking his last breath. In the end, Armando, extremely reluctantly, can only temporarily take the enemy's phone, waiting until they escape from the dangerous situation before looking for clues. At the same time, he also realizes that there's an inside informant within the military who has revealed their whereabouts to Damiso. Thinking of this, Armando immediately contacts Teniente, a Special Forces team member who is still at the base, and asks her to relay a message to Colonel Lalo. Because the Special Forces team's movements have been exposed, in order to ensure the safety of the members of the team, he is forced to request withdrawal from this pursuit operation and hopes that Colonel Lalo can approve it. After that, the team will walk to the Brownfield checkpoint, expected to arrive in 6 hours, hoping that there will be someone there to meet them. Hearing this, Teniente immediately asks for Armando's current location and says that she can come to support him right away, but Armando refuses her offer. He says that in the current situation, the Special Forces team must act immediately because the enemy will definitely arrive before reinforcements can arrive. At the same time, in order to avoid being chased by Damiso, Armando leads his teammates into the dense forest, planning to use the terrain of the trees to get to the checkpoint. At the same time, Damiso also leads his men to the ambush location. Seeing the chaotic scene along with the body of his younger brother, who has gone to heaven, endless pain, sadness, and anger immediately overwhelm him. He hugs Josfo's body, vowing that he will definitely tear Armando apart to avenge his younger brother and other brothers. Afterward, Damiso looks at his most capable and well-equipped subordinate, Cobra, with a cold look. Just one look and you can tell she's not someone to be trifled with. Damiso hands her a phone, with Armando's location still displayed on the screen. Seeing this, Cobra immediately understands, leads an armed team, and turns to leave. Elsewhere, the Special Forces team is following a stream in the forest, moving forward. After walking for who knows how long, Armando finally orders a rest stop. At this time, everyone finally has the chance to check the spoils they just collected. After checking, they discover that the backpacks contain a large amount of illegal drugs. It seems that this is the main source of profit for Venom. One of the team members sees this and doesn't hesitate to destroy them. But at this moment, Armando, who is in charge of keeping watch, suddenly notices something unusual. An armed team of 9 people is approaching them. Everyone immediately raises their guard. Clearly, a fierce battle is inevitable. Fortunately, their geographical location is quite favorable. Sniper Pollo seizes the opportunity to easily shoot down 2 men from above. After that, the other members use the trees as shields, quickly retreating to a safe location. When they successfully get to the bottom of the hill, Armando looks around and suddenly comes up with a plan. He intends to use the terrain here to eliminate all the pursuers. Armando divides the team into 3 groups. One group enters the mountain cave ahead to ambush, and Pollo continues to occupy a favorable position to provide support from the outside. Then, he runs to the side of the road himself, using a fallen tree trunk as a hiding place. Under the attack and combined assault of Armando and Pollo, Cobra can only lead her subordinates to hide inside the cave. But this is exactly the strategy of closing the door to catch the thief. Hearing the intense gunfire coming from inside the cave, Armando and Pollo cautiously leave their hiding places, their eyes seriously watching the situation in front of the cave entrance. But at this moment, Pollo is suddenly hit by a bullet fired from above. There were still enemies who hadn't been lured into the cave. Fortunately, Armando reacts quickly, immediately firing wildly at the enemy, temporarily forcing him to retreat. Pollo also quickly gets up and continues his mission. At the same time, the sound of gunfire in the cave gradually subsides. A moment later, the voice of teammate Combo rings out on the walkie-talkie. Now, Armando finally dares to breathe a sigh of relief. But although they won a major victory in this battle, they still don't let their guard down. 2 members of the team were injured in the firefight, and there's still one armed enemy who hasn't been eliminated. Even worse, Cobra has also escaped from the battle in the cave. At this time, the forest is full of danger, every step hides a threat. So next, how will Armando lead his teammates to escape the pursuit and successfully reach the rendezvous point that Teniente arranged? Elsewhere, Cobra manages to escape and rejoin Damiso. But when they follow the tracking device to the scene, they discover that Armando's group has already disappeared without a trace. All that's left are 5 bodies neatly arranged on the ground, with cell phones placed on top. It turns out that before Armando left, he realized the problem. The reason Damiso was able to find them so quickly was definitely because he had their location information, so he immediately ordered everyone to throw away their phones to mislead Damiso, buying them time to retreat. Immediately after, everyone crosses a stream, enduring fatigue and pain to continue retreating to the target point. When they reach another hill, Armando considers his teammates' injuries and orders a stop for rest. While they rest, he quickly goes through Josfo's phone and, sure enough, discovers a clue, a video of the transaction between Damiso and Minister of Security Roman. This confirms Armando's suspicions, they really have been betrayed by someone on the inside. Realizing the severity of the situation, Armando doesn't dare delay even for a moment, quickly gathering his teammates to continue on their way. They have to get to the rendezvous point as soon as possible and expose Roman's crimes to the public. After walking for who knows how long, Armando suddenly raises his hand to signal a stop. At the foot of the hill, not far ahead, is a red-roofed, white-walled building. Finally, they've reached the end of the road. Looking through his 8x scope, Armando discovers that it's the base of the criminal organization. Moreover, there aren't too many gunmen inside. So, they immediately decide to go in and raid the place to replenish the weapons and medicine needed for the team. And so, the group carefully sneaks into the base, easily taking down the guards who are drawn by the noise. Next, they push open the door. Armando himself raises his gun and shoots down all the enemies in the room. But when they clearly see the situation inside, they all widen their eyes involuntarily. Two ragged and tattered women are being held there. Armando looks at their familiar faces, his heart filled with mixed emotions. It turns out that they are the two civilian women who told Armando about the mass grave a few days ago. The team's doctor immediately checks their condition and discovers that they are both still conscious. Only then can the entire team breathe a sigh of relief. At the same time, the others are searching the entire building. Sure enough, they find a lot of weapons and supplies. The atmosphere in the room suddenly becomes tense. They know that a fierce battle is about to take place. Moreover, at this moment, they also have to protect two unarmed civilians. But as warriors, they have all prepared themselves mentally to face death. So, they don't say anything more but tacitly load their weapons and put on their armor, ready for the upcoming battle. Night gradually falls. Everyone turns off all the lights in the house and leads the two women out the door, planning to use the darkness to find a way to retreat. But as soon as they step out the door, a bullet comes whizzing by, hitting the girl in the middle. Fortunately, she was wearing a bulletproof vest, so she only temporarily lost consciousness and her life wasn't in danger. However, this sudden accident still catches the team off guard, and they can only return fire while helping the two girls retreat inside. During the retreat, Oyo is shot once again. Luckily, his teammates provide timely cover, and they can finally retreat safely into the house, but Damiso isn't going to let them off easily. Armando and the others have retreated inside, and he immediately orders a full-scale attack. Damiso wants to bury them along with Josfo. The Special Forces team uses the walls as shields, holding their ground, but the difference in equipment is too great. Facing the fierce attack of the enemy, even with teammates actively stepping forward to clear the way, everyone inevitably gets injured. Gradually, they begin to run out of strength, but the enemy's shelling doesn't decrease at all. The Special Forces team can only hide inside the house, not daring to show their heads. Armando, seeing the scene, can only despairingly close his eyes, not knowing what to do for a moment. Just when he was figuring out what to do, the shooting outside suddenly stopped. Armando and his crew exchanged glances, wondering what Damiso was up to now. The girl hiding in the corner suddenly grabbed a gun, ready to fight alongside the team against the enemy. Armando didn't stop her, after all, another gun meant another chance to survive. On the other side, Damiso had finalized his attack plan. He ordered Cobra to lead a team to the back of the building, where there was a cargo pipe. It connects directly to the nearby river and could cut off Armando and his team's escape route. From the back, Damiso would continue the direct assault. This way, the two-pronged attack would easily eliminate the entire Special Forces team. Hearing the gunfire erupt again, Armando immediately sensed danger. He ordered his Cambodian teammates to tend to the wounded first, while he himself charged to the front lines to fight Damiso. The situation was incredibly unfavorable for the Special Forces team, nearly half the members were out of action, and with the limited weapons they had, breaking through was almost impossible. The reality was even worse than Armando thought. Damiso ordered his men to set up M2 machine guns, load them, and open fire. Bullets rained down like crazy. Luckily, everyone had found cover beforehand, allowing them to escape the deadly attack without injury. Taking advantage of the enemy's reloading, Armando immediately ordered a counterattack. Relying on skillful marksmanship and excellent tactics, the team's counterattack was remarkably effective. But when Damiso managed to react, the battlefield situation tilted back in favor of the enemy once more. More teammates were hit and fell, and Armando and the rest found themselves in a dangerous situation. To make matters worse, some enemies had taken advantage of the chaos and stormed inside the building. Luckily, everyone reacted in time, working together to quickly take down the enemies, avoiding the risk of being attacked from within. At that moment, the machine gun fire outside suddenly stopped. Taking advantage of the break while the enemies reloaded, Armando aimed precisely and took out one of them who was carrying ammunition at the main door. The Special Forces team could finally breathe a sigh of relief, temporarily. Knowing that all of his teammates were still alive gave Armando some peace of mind, but the danger was far from over. Tiger was badly injured and couldn't move. The rescued girl, Kara, seeing the situation, took the initiative to bring Armando more weapons. But unexpectedly, Cobra had led his team into the transport tunnel. They followed the dark passage in the basement, quietly infiltrating the building. This scene was accidentally witnessed by Tiger, who was barely clinging to life. He immediately raised his weapon, reacting with lightning speed to shoot down the enemy who had just poked his head out. Then, he pulled the pin on a grenade, struggling to move towards the basement entrance. A terrible explosion rang out. The teammates in the front immediately realized something was wrong. They rushed back towards Tiger, but all that awaited them was a sea of flames. Realizing their teammate had sacrificed himself, Armando and the others felt extreme pain. But they had no time to mourn. After regaining their composure, Armando led everyone out of the building, ready to confront Damiso, who was nearing exhaustion. But as soon as they stepped into the open space in front of the main door, a bullet suddenly flew and hit the team's youngest member, Pollo, directly. Fresh blood poured from his mouth. This time, the kid who always narrowly escaped death was finally unable to get up again. Armando was consumed by pain and rage. He wanted to take Damiso's life to avenge his teammates, but unexpectedly, the enemy raised his hands in surrender. He even threw away all his weapons. According to regulations, Special Forces soldiers are not allowed to kill an enemy who has surrendered. The three survivors could only clench the weapons in their hands, their eyes filled with hatred and helplessness. How could they accept that their teammates had died so unjustly? Suddenly, Armando threw his gun down and stepped forward. He rushed at Damiso, attacking him with his bare hands, not wanting a fair fight. But unexpectedly, his opponent was not weak either. After being knocked to the ground by Armando, Damiso immediately pulled out a dagger. Sure enough, a cunning criminal knows nothing of honor, and the situation quickly turns against Armando. But with years of military experience, Armando quickly gained the upper hand thanks to his excellent close combat skills. Seeing Damiso sprawled on the ground like a lump of mud, Armando bent down to pick up the knife that had fallen at his feet. Then he held the cold blade to his opponent's neck. He longed to take Damiso's life to avenge his teammates, but as a soldier, he couldn't violate the regulations. So he could only put all his strength into beating him. As the first rays of sunlight appeared on the horizon, the support helicopter finally arrived. Armando told Tenien to contact the Justice Department and then boarded the helicopter with his teammates. Outside the window, the sunlight gradually became clearer and brighter, but on the faces of the three survivors, there wasn't a single smile. The group photo at the base was the last happy moment for the Special Forces team. The film ends here.